No nonsense, practical and more popular than King Charles, Princess Anne's busy royal life. At one point in February of this year, Princess Anne wore a well-known purple striped coat. The Princess Royal had a normal day with back-to-back events in Nottingham, England's Midlands. She went to a therapy group and a shawl workshop. The pale heather-coloured silk coat belonged to her late mother, Queen Elizabeth II. She wore it often, both in private and in public. There's nothing dressy about it. Her Majesty wore it with jeans and her signature headscarf, while Anne wore it with a skirt and knee-high boots. Welcome to Royal Pancakes. If you are new here, please don't forget to subscribe and click the notifications bell, so you don't miss any news about the British monarchy. We all do things like this, of course. A touching way to remember a loved one while also reusing old, well-made clothes. The piece was created by Angela Kelly, who was Elizabeth II's dressmaker. It's also very Princess Anne, quiet, respectful, no nonsense, and useful. This is one reason why she's still voted the UK's favourite royal from the King's age. The 2024 Ipsos poll, which is done every year to find out how people in Britain feel about the royal family, put Anne 3 percentage points ahead of her brother the King. The poll also put the Wales family members at the top. This was 1 percentage point higher than Anne's numbers the year before, which shows how important she is to Charles' rule. According to the court circular, the Princess Royal had 457 meetings in 2023, while the King only had 425. This makes her the royalty figure that is often called the hardest worker. There is more work that King Charles and Queen Camilla do besides their duties, so this isn't a perfect breakdown of Anne's workload. However, it does show how much of the often boring work of public service she does. Since the King had to take a break from public tasks to get treatment for cancer, Anne has been seen even more. She had 6 events last week, which is more than any other royal. Next week she has 9 more planned. People don't usually pay much attention to Anne's work, it kind of flows under the surface. She rarely has a group of reporters following her around, and when she goes, it's usually just security and one assistant. I met Princess Anne twice for interviews, one of them at a photo shoot on her Gatcombe estate farm. I also went with her on her last big trip to Australia, in 2022, to open the Sydney Royal Easter Show. She is friendly, easygoing, and ready to get the job done when you meet her in person. She laughs at funny things quickly and dryly, and she never lets up. She told me, it's pretty crazy for short periods of time. There will be a lot of flying in the middle. You just have to learn how to go slowly. It helps that I can now sleep on any kind of transportation. At the Easter show, she walked around the grounds to meet area farmers and look at the animals. She was right where she belonged. This is very much Princess Anne's style, so it's not a surprise. I've never lived in a city. I may have been born to the sound of Bow Bells, but that was never my scene, she told me in an interview for Australian Women's Weekly to celebrate her 70th birthday. She was very excited to talk about her farm in Gloucestershire. London was where I went to school during the week, and Windsor on the weekends. There was a farm there with pigs, chickens, and mostly dairy cows. I grew up on a farm all my life. As with her mother and the King, she has to balance royal duties with running her farm. However, the public service part of her job is something she can't do without. As a family, we see ourselves as there to help the monarch, she told CBC in Canada in 2023, before her brother was crowned. We hope that what we do helps the monarchy and the way it can show continuity through service and knowing how people and communities want to live their lives. Anne was close to both of her parents. She learned that the job is all about how you treat people, with respect for individuals from her mother. When she's at an event, she loves talking to regular people, who get along with her right away. She says, You just find people who have stories to tell. She lives close by on Aston Farm on the Gatcombe estate with her daughter Zara Tyndall. Zara says she doesn't see her mother ever quitting or slowing down. She's probably right, but Princess Anne has spoken out against the fact that there are fewer working royals to call on. This is especially clear now that the family is having health problems. She told CBC in 2023, "I think the slimmed down monarchy was said on a day when there were a few more people around to make that seem like a reasonable statement. Well, coming from where I am, it doesn't sound like a good idea. Some people looked at him funny, but it doesn't look like the king is going to call on Princesses Eugenie and Beatrice or bring back Prince Harry and Meghan from the US to add some youth to the group." Princess Anne was second in line to the throne when the Queen was crowned. She is now 17th, after two of her younger brothers and a lot of royals who don't work. Anne and her brother Prince Edward were added to the list of councillors of state at the end of 2022. They can be called on to fill in for the monarch if he is sick or away, but Prince Harry, Prince Andrew, and their children will still be the next king or queen after the Princess Royal. Some Brits have told me they'd feel safer seeing Princess Anne from a higher position, but that will never happen. In a hierarchical monarchy, the old rule that male heirs were more important than female heirs was changed by the Succession to the Crown Act in 2013. However, the new rule doesn't apply to the past. Anne has dealt with this unfair treatment of women by saying she has always felt like an honored man in other parts of her life, especially when she was an Olympian in horseback riding, which is her favorite sport. It is known that the Princess Royal made sure that none of her children were given titles. This gave them the freedom to go their own way without being forced to work for the king like their mother had been. In 2020, Princess Anne told me, "I think even then, when I made the choice, it was easy to see that a title, was a very mixed gift. And because I was a woman, I didn't really get any benefits at all.